Hello dear friends, I'm with you. Last time I told you about the PrimalCore mod, which adds to our hardcore survival. Today I'm talking about one of the coupons for this fashion. This add-on is original in its own way, and is called ForgeCraft. Keep in mind that like any clone, it does not work by itself, but certainly with the main mod. That is, to run it, you need to install and PrimalCore. In addition, I strongly recommend that you install the newest version of GE, and you may also need a crafting wiki, and some of the mods for ores. The developers themselves prefer Geolosys. As always, you will find links to all this in the description under the video. An attempt to Russify Kitsu from the fork has already been made, but there are still not enough guides for it. In addition, the developer has made some changes to the mechanics of the mod. So, the Kitsu mod with ForgeCraft gives its players the opportunity to process metals with methods close to realism. You will feel like a real blacksmith, a master of metal. In addition, kits of methods of metal processing can significantly save material. Let's look at this mod. In order to play with him, you first need to craft a smelter of mountain fir. Melting pots are available to us from two variants of bricks, ordinary and adobe. You already know everything about ordinary bricks, but I didn't mention adobe bricks last time, so I'll tell you right now. Adobe bricks are being crafted in the world, not in a workbench. To make them, you need to make this frame from the very pegs that we used for the logs in the manufacture of coal. Who does not know? See my review of the Prime software mod. Next, you will need a mixture for adobe bricks. It looks like this. It looks like a lump of mud with straw. Well, it's being crafted, you won't believe it, out of mud and straw. Again, I have already told you how to get dried straw from reeds earlier. I know that this video came out long, but you're not too lazy to watch it. Well, you and I lay out the molds for bricks on the ground, and then shove our mud mixture there. That's it with the right mouse button. All that remains is to wait until it dries and hardens into bricks. The dried brick looks like this, a little brighter than its raw version. We pull the finished bricks out of the mold, and then make everything out of them that we need, namely a foundry and a forge. By the way, you can craft and just blocks, and use them to decorate some of your buildings or interior. They are also used for some PrimalCore devices. However, as I said, if you don't want to mess with adobe bricks, make them out of ordinary vanilla ones. Now we need furs. No, ugly fluffs on the collar of the jacket, but blacksmith's furs. In this case, they will be reciprocating. The developer said that he took the Japanese Fukisashi Fuigo bellows as an analog. I looked at the pictures, and it's really very similar. You don't have to craft the piston. We need to make a handle for the bellows. That's so simple from sticks. And then cover the craft cell with boards around the perimeter. Put the handle on the right side. That's it, our furs are ready. By the way, they can be made of any vanilla wood. I chose these dark oak ones for my forge. We connect the bellows to the melting furnace. They have special holes for this, but only on one side. The bellows also have holes. In short, they need to be placed so that the holes match, otherwise it will not work. Further, in order to work with metal, we need at least what we are going to process. That is, iron ore. What we are going to process it in, that is a crucible, and what will serve as an energy source for this processing, that is, coal. Charcoal is suitable exclusively for wood. The best is the Korovsky primer, and the higher the quality, the higher temperatures you can achieve in your foundry. This is very important when processing metals of different compositions. The lowest temperatures are given by vanilla charcoal, about 1500 degrees. Medium quality coal will heat your stove up to 2000 degrees, good somewhere up to 2400. Maybe a little less. Coal of the highest quality will give you a heat of almost 3900 degrees. We can make a crucible with you from vanilla, clay, or PrimalCore mud. Here's what you'll get your hands on first. In older versions of the mod, it was required to burn the stigel in plavin, but now you need to put it on a prime cow hibachi or on a dryer. Hibachi, of course, needs to be lit and wait for some time. When the crucible is ready, you can start processing metals. I repeat right away that not prime to Nikita from Forts. Do not add all the necessary ores to us. Therefore, if you want to process any metals besides iron, put mods that add ores such as copper, tin, and the like. But we'll start with iron. We put the crucible on the ground and put one piece of vanilla iron ore into it with the right mouse button. Broken iron tools or iron dust are also suitable. Remember, you need to put only one piece, no more. The mod makes it possible to fill the crucible to the brim like this, but this is because it provides the ability to change crafting. If you put a crucible resources that do not fit the recipe, then this case will not work. You put it in the foundry, but nothing will happen. If you made a mistake, it's okay. Break the crucible, it will fall out, and all its contents will fall out. Now we need to ignite the foundry. Let's put charcoal there with the right mouse button. It is placed immediately like this, but if desired, you can put less and set it on fire. It doesn't matter what. You can use a torch, a lighter, a fiery flower, and an Indian violin. We take our crucible with iron or with the right mouse button and put it in the foundry again with the right mouse button. In fact, there is no difference what you put first, coal or crucible. Both can be added in the process. We will observe the process by touching the foundry with the right mouse button. A chat floats up to us. By the way, if for some reason nothing works for you, most likely you either made a mistake in the recipe or simply disabled the chat in the game, so bring it back quickly. Well, the chat message in the new version consists of 5 lines. In the first line, we are told that a crucible with crude iron is currently in the process of processing. The second one says how much fuel is left in the foundry. The following is the temperature in the smelter at this point in time, and a little lower is the temperature that we need to start the melting process. In this case, 1400 degrees, and the very last line is the countdown timer. Its time is indicated in ticks. It will start working as soon as the required temperature is reached. To warm up the foundry, you need to swing the laughter with the right mouse button. In this case, we will pump until the smelter reaches a temperature of 1400 degrees, well, maybe a little more. The foundry cools down quickly enough, so if you process a lot of items in a row, then sometimes you will have to pump up the furs. When you reach the desired value, the timer in the bottom row will start decreasing. When it reaches 0, you will get a single message in the chat that everything is ready. If the temperature during processing falls below what is needed, the timer will freeze. By the way, it will not work. To pull out the crucible with your bare hands, you need to craft ticks, and we will make them from 2 stones to choose from, 2 sticks and a thread. As you can see, stones are suitable for just stone, granite, diorite, and andesite, and even their smooth versions. Let's get our crucible out. The hot crucible should be placed on a stone or sand surface. When the crucible cools down, its color will change to such a gray one. Now it can be broken, and we will get a square ingot of iron. In principle, this is the equivalent of vanilla iron ingot. It is even possible to get droplets of vanilla iron from it. The first thing we will do with our piece of iron is to craft an anvil. In the old versions of the mod, it was necessary to pull out a heated piece of iron and put it on the selected stone. And while the iron is not cold, hit it with a hammer. That is, the anvil was being crafted in the world. Now this mechanics has changed. As soon as you put a red-hot piece of iron on a stone, it will immediately cool down and fall out already in a chilled form. But now Kovalenko is crafting in the crafting cell of the inventory or workbench. To do this, choose a suitable pebble. Suitable is any of the vanilled stone, andesite, diorite, granite, or smooth versions. Just put a stone and a piece of iron together like this. The anvil has a 5x5 crafting grid on the surface. Unlike workbenches, we work with an anvil in the world, so from which side to approach the anvil and lay out the crafts is of fundamental importance. The front part can be distinguished by a darker plate on the side surface. So, there is an anvil, you know how to get iron, what's next? And then, we will make tools out of this very iron. Personally, this process is very exciting for me. There is something so fascinating about the way the pieces of iron in the furnace heat up. It's nice to knock on them with a hammer, giving them shape. By the way, I forgot to tell you about the hammer. Yes, but you also need it in the forge. And this is the same stone hammer from mod PrimalCore. If you don't know, watch the previous video. The second version of the hammer available to us is our own Kitsu craft. Here is such an iron thing. She crafts like this. And now to the point. Let's throw some coals into the furnace and light it. The forging temperature of iron is lower than its melting temperature. We need to get a heat of 800 degrees or a little higher. Let's pump up the furs and get the temperature we need. We also determine it by touching the horn with the right mouse button, as it was more fused. But this time it won't give us any other information except the temperature. Let's put our piece of iron on the grate of the furnace and wait until it gets hot. We take out one heated piece of iron and put it on the anvil. By the way, I forgot to say that you can put a vanilla ingot in the forge. It will warm up in the same way and you can forge from it. Well, so it is necessary to put this heated piece of iron exactly in the middle. Now we hit it with the right mouse button, and it splits into 9 smaller pieces. These little pieces are like vanilla iron droplets. Vanilla droplets, they really don't change, but we don't really need it. For convenience, it would be good to have a spare anvil on hand, but if it is not there, it does not matter. You can put the excess directly on the stone floor and pick up the cooled particles, and then when they are needed, reheat them again. So, from our small squares, we put together tools for ourselves. You can easily find crafts with the help of Geo. Do not forget that you must definitely place the squares on the anvil correctly. It is not easy to lay out the right picture, namely, to position it correctly, not above, not below, but exactly as in the diagram. Otherwise, nothing will work. See how profitable tools are being crafted. There is less iron ingot per bucket, and it is possible to craft an iron plate from actually 1 ingot. Well, I'll make a pickaxe. We look at the diagram. 3 pieces in the second row, and 1 at the edges just below. We also spread it on the anvil. We take a hammer in our hands. We hit the anvil with the right mouse button. Sometimes we need to hit it several times, but as a result, we get this kind of pickaxe blade. Look what an amazing saving of material. In vanilla crafting, we get a pickaxe of 3 iron ingots, and with the help of the Kitsu mod, with fortune crafting of only 5 drops. There is one but. You can't put this blade on an ordinary stick. You must necessarily put it on a lacquered one. How to get a lacquered stick? Watch the video dedicated to Fashion PrimalCore. There I described this process in detail. In older versions of kits with ForgeCraft, it was enough to put a pickaxe blade, a lacquered stick, and twine in the crafting table. But now everything has become more interesting. To assemble the tool, we need a workbench like this. It is crafted as follows. We need 2 fences and 2 half blocks of the same kind of wood and 3 stone, brick, quartz, sandstone, or cobblestone half blocks. In general, nothing extremely complicated. We install the tool blade on this workbench. We also stuff a lacquered stick there, and in addition, this little chop or wedge. It is not difficult to make it. Just cut any stick with an axe, a working knife, a hammer, or a saw. When everything is installed, right-click the hammer and get the assembled tool. By the way, it can be disassembled back in the same way. However, you will not get a stick and wedges back, only the blade of the tool. So, We now have a pickaxe of 5 drops of iron. Let's compare it with vanilla. Their speed is the same, their damage is the same, but the strength of the Kitsu from the CraftTweaker pickaxe is already twice as high. So, a pickaxe made of 5 drops of iron that will break after 500 uses, or a pickaxe made of as many as 3 ingots, that is 27 drops of iron, that will break after 250 uses. In my opinion, the answer is obvious. But this is not the end of the Kitsu bonuses from crafting tools. First of all, they do not break without a trace. After you hit them for the last time, they will shatter into pieces, and you will get this kind of thing in your inventory. It is called broken tools of chained iron. You just need to stuff it back into the crucible, warm it in the foundry, and cast a new ingot from it, which again can be forged. However, you cannot wait until your tool breaks and fix it earlier. To do this, you will have to remove it from the stick and put the blade to bask in the forge. When it heats up, put it on the anvil exactly in the middle. Place a small piece of iron on top of it, of course, also heated. We beat with a hammer and get the whole blade of the tool. We put him on a stick again, and you can go to work. But vanilla tools can be enchanted, you say. And you will be absolutely right. Kitsu CraftTweaker tools cannot be enchanted in any way from the word at all. Even if you cast a spell on the tool with the help of a book, it will seem to be superimposed at first, but it will fly off at the first use. Hardcore, that's why he's hardcore, so that you and I don't think the life of raspberries. Although there is still a way to improve the tools from the ForgeCraft mod. You and I can hang some modifiers on them, namely speed, luck, strength, and silk touch. The number of modifiers depends on the material of which the tool is made. If we are talking about the most ordinary iron, then there can be only 2 such modifiers. In the case of bronze or copper, only 1. If we are talking about more advanced versions of iron, then there may be more modifiers there. For example, in the case of refined iron, 3, steel 4, and Damascus steel 5. At the same time, you can put the same modifier, for example, on the same Damascus steel 5 times to get the effect of the 5th level, or hang different modifiers 1 or 2 times. The effect of speed is given to the instrument by red dust, good luck lapis lazuli, silk touch emerald, and strength diamond. We use red dust and lapis lazuli as they are, but diamonds and emeralds need to be split into fragments. Do you remember how we did it in the prime bark fashion? So with the help of Kitsu with ForgeCraft, we will split them easier and with greater efficiency on the anvil. We put a diamond or an emerald on the anvil exactly in the middle and beat the hammer with the right mouse button. As a result, we get 2 or 3 fragments instead of 1. In principle, in the executive committee, we also received 2 fragments with a certain probability, but it was more a matter of chance. Let's try to speed up our iron pickaxe. Let's put her blade to bask in the furnace. When it warms up, we put it on the anvil, exactly in the middle, and above it a red dust. We hit the anvil with the right mouse button and get a pickaxe blade with red spots. If you hover the cursor over it in the inventory, then you and I can see that 1 modifier is installed. We have the opportunity to put another 1. In principle, we can do this at any time, even after the pickaxe has already been used repeatedly. You just need to disassemble it, heat the blade, and then you already know. I'll put another modifier on the silk touch. If you carefully look at the Kitsu tab with ForgeCraft, you will find that there are already 4 types of iron there. The pickaxe that you and I just made because of ordinary iron, which in the original is called secondary iron. In fact, it is iron with a low carbon content and a high content of all kinds of harmful impurities that got there from the ore. That is, the iron is quite rough. There is also refined iron and 2 types of steel plain and Damascus. But first let's try to get pure iron. This can be done by melting iron dust into crucibles and adding limestone powder there. I'm going to show you this process now. First of all, you and I will need a block crusher. To craft it, we will need boards, a lever, and a coil of silk twine, for the manufacture of which you just need to kill a crowd of spiders or plunder an underground mine. We install the crusher on the floor and insert any of the PrimalCore hammers into it. Now we take the iron ore, install it in front of the crusher, and right-click in any area of the crusher. The hammer is pulled back. To lower it, right-click again, but this time in a squat. This is how we got iron dust. Well, to get limestone powder, you need to break any kind of limestone stone with a hammer at a workbench or in your craft cell. Now it's the usual mechanics. We put one and the other piece by piece into the crucible and then into the foundry. The melting point is 1550 degrees, so we need coal of at least average quality. Then you already know, we inflate the furze, wait, pull it out, wait again, and take it out of the stigel. From pure iron, all the same crafts are available to us as from frying pan. So why bother, you ask? First of all, Kitsu craft tools made of refined iron are somewhat better in characteristics than tools made of ordinary forged iron. Secondly, we can put not 2, but 3 modifiers on tools made of purified iron at once. And thirdly, and most importantly, without purified iron, we will not get steel. Obtaining steel is similar to obtaining purified iron, but this time we will need to add high-quality coal to the crucible, and, of course, purified iron as a base. The melting point of steel is 2100 degrees, so that coal of good quality should be in the foundry as fuel. Then, the whole procedure is repeated. Steel tools are better in their characteristics than just iron, or even tools made of refined iron. And, if you remember, you can hang 4 modifiers on them at once. To get the best mod tools, we need Damascus steel. Its creation is the most difficult, compared to all the previous ones. Let's see her craft. As you can see, we will need carbon fiber. To get it, you need to go to hell and chop up carfree segments there. I've told you what it is before. Then you need to make a woodpile from this very carfree and burn them in the same way as we burned a woodpile from wood when we received coal. The percentage of carbon as a result of such combustion is quite small, so if you need a lot of Damascus steel, you will have to be patient and burn the carfree in large batches. But of course, this is just the beginning of our torment. We will have to run around the world for a long, long time and look for magnetite ore. By the way, it comes across inclusions only in 3 types of stones: on xeric and ordinary stone, and in these dark ferrocalcites. The first you will find in hell, the second and third in the ordinary world, if you are lucky. When breaking such stones with inclusions of magnetite, you will get pieces of magnetite which are needed when creating Damascus. Well, the least of the problems is that we will need ashes, suitable from ironwood, yew, wolf dust, bone ash or wort, which can be made from foliage in a PrimalCore cracker. We need to put all this in the crucible, in the sequence specified in the recipe. Well, then everything is as usual, in the melting temperature, as in ordinary steel 200. If something was done wrong, the process will not go. Just pull everything out and redo it. Iron is not the only metal that you can process with the kit's ForgeCraft mod. There is also copper and bronze. The latter is an alloy of copper and tin. These metals, unlike iron, are not forged. What does this mean? So this means that we will have to melt them down to the Damascus state and fill in the molds to obtain this or that object. But let's get everything ready first. First of all, we need a casting mold. It's easy to make it. To do this, we take logs, sand them, chop them into logs, and from these logs we make this kind of thing. Now one of the most interesting parts. We need casts into which we will then pour the molten metal. Casts are made from such a mixture. To make this mixture, we again need clods of dirt, and this time we will mix them with sand. It's better if we do more at once. And now, we are going to make casting casts from these pieces of the mixture. To do this, you need to put pieces of the mixture into our casting mold. Recipes you can see in the GUI. Let's make a pickaxe again to compare it with other analogs. With the right mouse button, we shove the pieces according to the scheme into the form. If you made a mistake, it's not scary. Again, with the right mouse button, but only this time in a squat, you will be able to extract the incorrectly installed piece. If you try to pour hot metal into the wrong shape, then you will not succeed. The metal just won't pour out. In the old version of the mod, it was necessary to wait until the cast freezes and falls out into the world, pick it up, and then put it into another special casting block, which was made of adobe bricks. But now it doesn't work anymore, and we will pour it right like this. Let's start with copper. Put 1 ingot of copper in the crucible. I have already told you, but I emphasize once again that neither Primco nor Nikita from ForgeCraft are added to copper ore. You will have to install an additional mod for ore, but you're probably going to be playing on some kind of assembly anyway, right? The temperature required to start the process is 900 degrees. That is, we can safely use even vanilla charcoal. There is only one modifier that can be applied, and it must be done immediately, even before you put the crucible in the oven. Let's put red dust in there and try to melt it. When the melting process is completed, we take the tickle and right-click on our casting mold. The pickaxe blade immediately drops out. All that remains for us is to assemble it with a stick and a wedge in the workbench. With bronze, everything is exactly the same, with the difference that first you need to get bronze ingots. Well, this can be done, for example, with the help of a prime cow cracker. The recipe is like this. And how to use the Krenitsa. See the series dedicated to prime bark. The melting point of bronze is higher than that of copper, but not much, 1100 degrees. The modifier is applied in the same way as on copper, and also only 1. The difference in strength between copper and bronze is 100 units. That is, you can use a bronze tool 100 times more, and accordingly, the euro of bronze is a little higher than that of media. Mod Keats with ForgeCraft adds us a couple of interesting tools, namely a chisel and a sledgehammer. The chisel can either be cast or forged from the same materials as the rest of the tools. With a sledgehammer, everything is similar to forge or cast. They are needed in order to cut blocks with an area of 3 by 3. Let's try to cut through the passes here somewhere. We stick the chisel with the right mouse button, take a sledgehammer in our hands, and hit the chisel again with the right mouse button. The chisel enters the surface of the blocks, everything around cracked, and we got tired, and the hand with the sledgehammer went down. As soon as the sledgehammer goes back up, you can hit the chisel again, and, hooray! This time, we broke 9 blocks at once. In general, it is a very convenient tool, and what pleases me personally the most is absolutely not cheater. And finally, I want to tell you about another interesting thing added by the Kitsu mod with ForgeCraft, namely about the long bow. To begin with, let's see how it is being crafted. You and I will need wood. You need to make logs out of it, and from these logs into sticks like this. We take these sticks in the amount of 2 pieces and put one on the ground on top of the other with the right mouse button. After that, we take a working knife in our hands, and again, with the right mouse button, we process these sticks. By hovering the cursor over the lower one, we get a bow like this, but it's not ready yet. It should be rubbed with some kind of fat and pull the bowstring. Silk ropes will be needed for the bowstring. Well, you will make them out of threads. Let's now look at the longbow in action. First of all, I would like to mention his shooting mechanics. The more you pull the string, the further the arrow flies, and the more damage it does. And although vanilla onions have similar mechanics, still when you shoot from a vanilla bow, especially if you pull the string weakly, it leaves the impression as if you are shooting from a child's bow, which has arrows with suckers. The longbow, I think, was a success. You immediately feel that you are holding a real formidable weapon in your hands. The killing power of a long onion is clearly higher than that of a vanilla one. Spider, for example, kills with one shot. Well, that's all I wanted to tell you today. I hope you enjoyed my review. Perhaps it was useful to some of you. In any case, write your feedback in the comments under the video. Who liked it? Do not forget to rate my efforts with likes. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. See you soon, dear friends. Bye-bye.